And I suppose this is the reason why I'm here today. We all know drug users already went through many things before they end up in the prison. They have done a lot to get the money to get the drugs. And we can't stop them completely when they are in the prison setting. It is known worldwide, if drug addicts are in prison, the drug will enter in prison. There is no way. Drugs are so easy to bring in, especially in a women's prison, in the body, like in men's prison, in the body, in parcels. So what we know is a few syringes are always in the prison settings where we find drug users. The syringes are shared. The diseases like HIV, Hep B, and C are transmitted. Abscesses occurs quite often. There are sometimes fatal overdoses. This in prisons where no drugs are entering. And hidden syringes may be a danger to the staff. They are hidden somewhere, and the staff, as we have heard before, searching for anything could get sticked. Syringes exchange in the prison setting, it is feasible easily, and it's proven by the example of Hindelbank in Switzerland. This is the prison I work in since more than 18 years, so I know what I'm talking about. Hindelbank was the first prison worldwide which started in '94 with two evaluations. So well documented. We have one prison next to Hindelbank, which the prison physician did already distribute syringes, but it is not documented. Hindelbank is located about 20 kilometers in the north of Bern. It's a penitentiary for women, and we can host about 110 women in 6 different divisions. And we are about 100 of staff. It's the only women prison in the Swiss-German part. The majority of the prisoners have been sentenced for narcotic law offenses. Almost 40 to 45% are Swiss. 1 prisoner in 3 is reporting consuming drugs and heroin and cocaine before their incarceration. The length of the sentences, you see the majority is staying for quite a long time, from more than 4 years until undefinite. It's more than 60%. Hindelbank has been confronted for many years with clandestine drug consumption. And the first time in '87, it was mentioned in the annual report, the needle exchange between prisoners. In '91, the penitentiary physician took out a pool, and we found alarming statistics about the needle sharing and transmission of infectious diseases. It was a bit as Sandra said before. He could prove that they were coming in women without Hep C, without HIV, and after staying 1 year or more in prison, suddenly they showed up that they had a seroconversion. But in any case, it took still 4 years of legal and political discussion and clarification before we could start in '94 with the program. The prevention program was aimed to all the prisoners and the staff as far as it was necessary and suitable. We knew that, according to the data gathered, that we have had quite all the drugs in prison, like suppose almost in all the prisons around the world, starting from tobacco, alcohol, cannabis, tranquilizers, painkillers, up to heroin, cocaine. And it was the same in Hindelbank. We haven't had less than any others. The primary goal in Hindelbank for the prevention program was and is still the abstinence from the inmate from drug use. As I said before, it's not so easy to get it, so we have also a secondary goal, and this is the harm reduction. We are trying through quite the traditional ways to get the abstinence from the inmates. And so we have two strategies. The first one is through repression, as you know, all over: prisoner control, cell control, urine testing, control of all incoming post and packages, control of visitors, and so far. If we find something irregular, it leads to sanctions. Our secondary goal is the harm reduction. This we try to get it through regular consultation, accompaniment by the prevention coordinator, and as well through syringe exchanges. I meet personally at least every inmate once, and this at the entry and in prison. The inmates are provided with all the information about HIV and hepatitis, STDs, all what they want to know and what they need to know. I also try to review the history of drug use. I want to see, to know if there exists a history prior entry to the prison. If they do have so, I provide them with all the information about our needle exchange program. I don't need to do this with all the inmates, because if somebody has never had drug use before, hardly they would start in Hindelbank. The drug injection addicts get, if so desired, a maximum of completely 1 syringe and 5 additional needles. They get stereo swabs and all this together in such a small transparent boxes. The needle and the syringes has to be kept in this box. And therefore, for the staff, it's very easy. When they come into a cell, they know in this box there are maybe also used needles, but they are not dangerous for them. We know where they are, always in this box. Used syringes can be exchanged on a needle exchanging machine, and the full syringes and the extra needles they have, they can change by me, as if they need. The needle exchange machines usually are in a cupboard in the recreational areas, or in areas where there are storage for cleaning equipment for the inmates. So there are areas very far from the officers, very far from the eyes of the guardians. And this is very important, because so the inmates feel free to go to exchange the syringes. They are not all the time in a fear. They have straight away to give a urine testing, and they will go straight away into sanctions. We said before, as also Sandra said, and the number of, or the consumption did not increase, it did decrease by the time of the prevention program. And you can see how over the years, in the beginning we have had a very high amount of needle exchange, and then slowly it did come down. This year it did grow up again, because last year we have had a new policy about the testing of THC in prison. Before we did not test it, because we said we all know if somebody smokes a joint, we can detect it longer than heroin and cocaine. And we didn't want it that they go to take heroin or cocaine because they say, if I get a test and I get a test positive and I will be punished for it. So I prefer to be punished for cocaine or heroin. And the risk to get that they find in my testing something is even higher with a joint. So for many, many years, we were able really to go with this policy. So 2 years ago, the new warden decided, I'm sorry, but also joints out in the community are not legal. We have to change our policy inside the prison. This is the result of it. Because the inmates say, so, well, if I have to take something inside, hash, grass, takes more space than heroin and cocaine. If I have to be punished, I will be punished, but at least for something I really had. It's sad, but this is a fact. Another point is like the number of syringes distributed, the number of the sanction increased always towards the end of the month. This is because in Switzerland there is a must of work for the inmates. And in the end of the month, they get their wakes. So they have some money as disposition. In the end of the month, with the money are coming in more drugs. So they will need more syringes. And we see this on the sanctions. And we saw that only the sanctions related on drug consumption did grow up in the end of the month. All the others remains almost always the same. In May '94, before the installation of the machines, 8 intravenous drug users of 19 reported that they have changed the needles with some others, which is quite a lot. 1 year later, there was just one who reported that she have used a dirty needle from another inmate. It's a huge difference. The practical experiences is the assumed contradiction to punish consumption while at the same time we are distributing clean needles was also in Hindelbank a big subject of a lot of discussions. If you ask today any guardian in our institution, do you have a special program? They will probably come up with, yeah, we do have a new sport program, or yeah, we do have a new schooling program for foreigners which does not speak German. Nobody will talk you about the prevention program. It's such a normal daily running program. Nobody is thinking about it anymore even. What I think is very important, we do not just exchange the needle and that's it. We do inform all the new incoming prisoners. We make regular harm reduction events. We do have regular information events where I do show some films about HIV, hepatitis transmission or STDs, and the street work. And I know for probably some of you it will sound very strange that I talk about street work. Somehow it doesn't mean anything else than that I visit every section at least once a week. The inmates knows very well on which day I will pass through their section, and usually they are waiting already near the door where I'm coming in to have the opportunity to talk to me. The fact that I'm not related to any other connected with the rule of the prison enhances a lot of confidentiality. They know when they talk with me, all the informations I get on the 4 eyes from the inmates I have to keep them by me. I will never report this to the guards or to the warden. And this is very important for the success of our program. So all this extensive prevention program have proven an effective in the last 19 years. The positive experiences are an increase in drug abuse was not confirmed at all. It is the opposite. Sterile needles did not influence the amount of the available drugs inside. There is no more needle sharing among the prisoners, and this is what we want. We do have much less overdoses. Before the implementation of the needle exchange program, we have had at least 1 to 3 deadly overdoses per year. Now we have had, in more than 19 years, only 1 deadly overdose. And this is a big difference. As we know, no prisoner has started to use drugs in the prison setting. When I say he does not have or she does not have started in prison setting, means even if in the prison setting she restarted with drugs, which is possible, but we have never seen a woman which never in her lifetime she have used some drugs, did come into our institution and there she started. This we haven't seen. We have seen inmates, they have had a certain period in their lifetime using drugs. They were clean, did come into prison and restarted in prison. This we have seen, but no absolutely new starter. And dirty needles were not found in the garden or somewhere in the department. And this is also very important to us, that we do not have some insurance for needles which are hanging around. And also before we have seen quite everyday abscesses, and those ones we see just if an inmate bring it in from outside. And as already we have heard several times, the big fear of everybody until now, more than 19 years, never ever a needle was used as a weapon or even said, would you like to get sticked? And I really wonder if I would prefer to get sticked by a needle which is used from one inmate or from a needle which is maybe used from 40, 50, 100 inmates, or from a simple knife which there are around in the prison settings, as probably all of you can say. Conclusion. What we see in Hindelbank, you see all over the world in all the prisons. Our program does not furnish any arguments against the needle exchange in the prison setting. I think we have all the arguments and all the facts for such a program. The consumption, even in Hindelbank, of hard drugs leads to sanction. It's not because it is allowed. It takes them away holidays. They are in other situations. Very, very important point is we also hear often, yes, it's easy. In Switzerland, you have a lot of money. And to implement such a program, to have somebody who does this job is a lot of money. Actually, it's of the whole budget of the prison Hindelbank, only 0.3%, the cost of the prevention program, including my wage. So we can really not talk about it's very costly. And we made once, we did have a look on how much is the cost of Hep C or HIV infection during the lifetime. And we don't talk only about the treatment. I mean, there are blood analyses, visits of the doctor, hospital, and all together. If I can avoid with my work in prison in 1 year, 1 new infection, my salary is paid for at least 2 years. So I think it's a very cost-effective measure. We should never ever forget, as we have heard already today, almost all our inmates, the majority for sure, come back to the community as better as they're informed, as better as they have had not only the information, but also the, well, when they go back in the community, they will save a lot of money either, because they will give the information they have further to their relatives, to the family, to the friends, and so on. Thank you very much for your attention.